Hi, it's Natalie from Minerva, and in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can use the principles of colour theory in the world of sewing. So what is colour theory? Colour theory is a collection of guidelines and rules which designers use to communicate through appealing colour schemes. Colour theory is a fusion of science and culture. We take the spectrum of colours that appear in light and nature and apply extensive knowledge about human optics, psychology, culture, and more. Colours evoke emotion in us. Think about your favourite colours, why you like them, why they speak to you. It's a universal experience to associate colours with like emotions, ideas, and objects. So, for instance, yellow. Yellow to me is sunshine, it's happiness, it's joy, which is why it's one of my favourite colours. This makes colour theory a very powerful tool in the world of design. And in the world of sewing, we can use colour theory to find our favourite combinations, to dress, to evoke our favourite emotions. But how do we do this? We do this with a colour wheel. As well as displaying tones of colour in the spectrum, the wheel can also help you to experiment with different colour combinations you haven't tried before and really push your design skills. So you can lean into your personality and curate your next project so that your wardrobe is uniquely you. So the colour wheel was actually invented by Isaac Newton in 1666. So it's got a very, very long history. Isaac split a spectrum of white light using a prism, and then the colours he found, he wrapped them around themselves in order to create that colour wheel. This resource has been adopted by artists and designers through all walks of life. There's painters, fashion designers, film, photography, designers, artists use the colour wheel to assemble colour schemes and visualise how colours appear beside one another. The best way to learn about and practice colour theory is to have your own colour wheel. You can pick these up really cheaply. They do exist, and some are kinetic and move to help you visualise it. Better yet, you could make your own if you're into painting, and that would be a really fun project to bring together. But there are also so many online resources now which will help you select these colours, which I'll show you later in the video. So let's take a closer look at the colour wheel. This is going to trigger some knowledge from school, I'm sure, because we're going into colours. It's one of the first things that you learn. So the wheel itself has 12 colours, warm along the right side, colder along the left side. These colours, there are 3 primary colours in the wheel, which when added together create pure white light. These colours are red, yellow and blue. We know primary colours. The 3 secondary colours that appear come from mixing 2 primary colours together. So those colours are orange, violet and green. And there are 6 tertiary colours made by combining a secondary colour and a primary colour, which will fill in the gaps. So let's talk about colour combinations using the colour wheel. The first one I'm going to talk about is complementary colours. So complementary colours, a colour combo is 2 colours on the chart on the colour wheel that feature on opposite sides to each other. So as you can see in this example here, it's the red and the light blue that feature. If you follow the wheel around, select a colour and then trace across, that will tell you what your complementary colour for that colour is. So this combination provides high contrast, high impact, and together both colours should appear brighter and more prominent when combined. So that would be greens and pinks, yellows and striking blues. That would be this red and blue combination. And if you look at a colour chart that has more depth and hues and like shades of colour, it doesn't always have to be this bright. This is a basic principle, and you can dig into and find the sort of colours that you like within the spectrum. So we've got some fantastic Minerva makers as examples to show for this colour combination. So first we've got Jess Sews Clothes, and she's made this gorgeous neoprene colour blocked coat. And this is a good example of a more muted version of a complementary colour scheme. She's opted for navy and a dark brown combination, which are complementary colours. And you've got the cold and the warm together. And the colour blocking really brings out the features in the coat here. So it's a really clever way of how you can take the initial principle, and if you don't like big shocking colours like I do, take it in your own route. So that's how you can sew a complementary colour combo together to make that. And then we have styling advice from the one and only Kichi B. This is a fantastic denim trench coat that she has sewn, really popping bright blue denim. It actually has contrasting stitching, which in itself you could say was a complementary colour. It's popping, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And she's then paired that in a styling sense with a bright yellow dress underneath. And that is the perfect way to do a complementary colour scheme when you've got your wardrobe of me-made makes and you're thinking what colours can complement each other. So that's really cool and just iconic, very 70s, very fun. But you don't have to sew everything to get those combos. You can style just as Keaty Lee's done here. So the next colour combination we're going to talk about is monochromatic. So what springs to mind when you say monochrome? It's always black and white, because that's the way we've coined this phrase in society, which is not wrong. So black is essentially the absence of colour, white is an abundance, so it's all the colours in the spectrum together, and they've both been used in that way, and that's just how we talk about it in the sewing world. But monochromatic in terms of the colour wheel, as you can see here, is basically different shades, tints, tones of one base colour being used together. So here it appears as 3 shades of orange that you could put into a garment or style. So in comparison to the complementary colour scheme, which is very loud, very proud, a monochromatic colour scheme could help you go for a more subtle, harmonious look. It's also safer in terms of picking your favourite colours and working those in different shades, very pared down, and a good way to start if you're looking to start using the colour wheel in this way. So we have a few examples on site of Minerva makers that use monochromatic schemes in a different way. We have Karis here, who has gone for the gorgeous black and white combination. This is in linen, and she's chosen to pair black and white, the sort of like off tones of black and white, into this gorgeous wrap peplum sort of pleated design. So that's a really great opportunity to bring together black and white. It's not too risky, and it's a really solid monochromatic that we all know and love, and it will suit everyone, let's be honest. Everybody loves black and white. So, and the next example we have here is Katie Kennedy, and she's sewn this beautiful linen dress and used this different shades of blue in order to work with the pattern. So we see here she's sort of colour blocked 2 sides that creates a completely different look to this pattern. You could even go further really, because the pleated part, the empire line that features on this dress, that could be a 3rd shade of blue, but it's so dreamy, it's so summery. And if Katie's sort of preferred colours are the colder on the spectrum, this is a really great example of how you can start playing with monochromatic schemes. And then we have this fantastic full look from Posh Teacher, who has used the same fabric to create a jacket, a top, and a skirt. So monochromatic as in all appearing in one colour with a pop of white there, and it really works. I mean, there's been so many trends lately of pairing and co-ords and using the same fabric for things, so there's absolutely no reason you couldn't do that in a monochromatic scheme. Just use the one colour, but play to your strengths, or play with the shades and the tones if you feel like it would work with the project. The next colourway we're going to be talking about is an analogous colour combination. So the analogous colour combination are essentially 3 colours that appear side by side on the colour wheel. As you can see here, it's a spectrum of blues, cold colours down this side. As you move around, you can bring in warmer colours, but essentially they're all of a kind. So this colour combination is versatile, but it can be very, very overwhelming, especially if you use brighter colours like this. It's all up to your preference. It can be used in different ways. It can be used to pop, or it can be pared down, but it's not an easier combination to start with or to crack on with. So to balance an analogous colour scheme, you could choose one dominant colour and use the others as accents or like piping details or, ruffles, just to kind of show a nod, but without going full on colour blocking. But with that in mind, we have some more Minerva maker examples. So this fantastic fleece was made by Self Assembly Required, and it is a popping example of an analogous colour combination, and it shows red, pink and orange, which can be seen side by side, and it's been colour blocked into a gorgeous fleece with some different cuffs as accents to break it up as well. I think this is so successful, and if you really do love playing with colour, this is a brilliant way to have a go at it. And it's also really good for scrap busting. There's quite a lot of people on site that have made fun tops and hoodies using offcuts and things, you know, changing the cuffs up. So this is a very, very typical bold analogous colour scheme. And then we have this gorgeous dress, which you must have seen by Iso Sew. It's Izzy's Rivaling dress, and this is made of linen. And this is an analogous colour combination, which takes greens, navies, but it's different shades and tones of those three colours that sit by each other. So it would be a broader sort of colour wheel. So you're taking the yellows, the greens and the blues. But the blues are sort of more navy, there's a khaki green in there, and it really is a celebration of all of those colours, and it does evoke emotions. It feels warmed up, it doesn't feel cold, it feels joyous, and that's how Izzy has done a nod to using some of the colours as more of a dominant sort of blue running through, but with the ruffles, the V, the waistband being in different colours. And I think it's really successful, especially in the linen as well, which is just less of a pop. So those are two really fabulous examples of how you could adopt an analogous colour scheme into your makes. So let's talk about the triadic colour combination for the wheel. So the triadic, as it sounds, three, are basically three colours on the colour wheel that are evenly spaced out. So this provides, again, high contrast colour scheme, but less so than the complementary colour combination we saw earlier. So it's a little bit more versatile. This combination celebrates bold, vibrant colours, but like the others, can be pared back if you look at a colour wheel that has different shades, tones, tints. So as we can see from the colour wheel here, the triadic combination is red, green and dark blue. And all you would do to get a different triadic colour scheme is to work along, pick a colour and work out that little triangle. Again, with a colour wheel that has more depth, tints, shades, tones, you'll get so many possibilities. It's just a basic principle. And we also have some fantastic Minerva makers that have used this triadic colour scheme in order to create makes for themselves. And first up is Oh So Fun, who I must say who does an absolute masterclass of colour blocking garments. Their entire page is full of really, really fun experimentation, and they are not afraid to play with colour. So this is a blazer, the Morris blazer from Grainland Studio that Oh So Fun has made, and they've chosen a triadic scheme that's a little bit less bold, just a little less, it's still very bold, let's be honest, but the yellow is a mustard yellow, the green is a nice teal, the red has got a kind of like super burgundy sort of warmth to it, and I'm sure it looks completely different in all lights, but it's uniquely them. It's so fun. I think it's like such a cool idea, and it's so statement, and you're absolutely never going to find this jacket anywhere else, and that in essence is the joy of sewing our own clothes, that we can go for it. So that is one fantastic example. And then another, using very similar triadic scheme but in a different way, is Alchemist. Alchemist is another. I urge you to check out their page. They're full, it's absolutely full of fantastic experimentation with colour blocking, different patterns, different prints. So this is almost very similar. It's like the red, it's a pink, it's a pastel version of the teal, and it's the yellow, but they're paired back. This is a cotton poplin blouse, a normal blouse from Fibre Mood. And Alchemist here has already hacked the blouse into a fully tiered dress. And a tiered dress gives you the exact opportunity in order to bring those panels in of different colours, but without feeling like you're going too crazy. And we did see this through summer with the trend, the boom of the big floaty sleeves and the tiers and the ruffles and everything. It's a really fantastic way in order to try out different colour schemes. So here we can see pastel cotton poplin that's been used. It's got little flowers on it. So it's very similar to what Oh So Fun has done, but in a very different pared back, sort of floaty, evokes a different emotion sort of thing. But there's two great ideas to get you started. And last but not least, that brings us to our last colour combination, which is the tetradic colour combination on the colour wheel. As you can see here, that is red, green, blue and purple. It's a combination of 4 colours that feature opposite on the colour wheel. So this is seldom seen in the world of sewing, really, because it's a lot to balance. If you were going to do a tetradic home decor scheme. Bringing in 4 colours might not be too hard because you have a big room to play with, but the idea of bringing 4 very bold colours into one outfit could put some people off or could be hard to balance. So that's when it really is about comparing the shades, making sure that everything works together. But if you've worked your way through these colour combinations, tetradic might not even be a problem, or you could do a combination of tetradic and monochromatic, or perhaps it's something that works better in the quilting area or patchwork, or there's so many ways that you could attempt to pop this into a project of yours, and I'd be very excited to see if you did. So like I said, it's a very bold colour scheme that suits, it's very dominating, and the more colours you bring in, the harder that they are as a palette to work with. So one fabulous make that we have on site is by a maker called Fashion a la Sonia, name says it all, and this brilliant fleece sweatshirt she's made is like a cubist dream. She's been inspired by a mug that she picked up from a charity shop, which is by cubist artist Mondrian, and together, by using the mug or the artist as inspiration, has adapted a fleece sweatshirt pattern in order to bring in those cubist lines and 4 very dominant colours. It's so very nearly tetradic colours, and it had to have an honourable mention because of all the work that's gone into this and the bold colours that have been used. That concludes all of the information about the colour wheel and the colour combinations in order to bring it to your sewing. But let's talk about practicality. For a lot of people who don't design their clothes or have much of a design process from A to B, or think about their capsule, it can be really hard to start that design process. So how do we get from choosing colours in order to bring them into your print? There's a lot of questions you need to ask yourself about what colours you love, whether you sew with plains, whether it's patterns. Different fabrics would all determine how you attack this differently, but I've got lots of ideas to share with you, so don't worry. Let's start with plain fabrics. So in order to combine colour combinations, you don't need to be choosing patterns that feature the ability to do so, but that would be a good place to start by choosing patterns for garments that feature lots of seams. This will make it super easy in order to change up and create colour blocking within your design. So this particular dress that I'm wearing is a Deer and Doe Givre pattern. It's a short and long sleeve dress and top, and it's super easy to go together, let me tell you. So it's a stretch pattern, and as you can see from all of the seams here, the construction gives you a lot of opportunity to play with this. So I'm wearing a citrus bandage wrap fabric that we have on Minerva. So the starting point, if you fell in love with a particular fabric, would be to take this colour and go to the colour wheel. So this is one of the brilliant resources that can help you choose your colours. It's a colour wheel on Canva website, and it's an interactive way of choosing your colours through all of the colour combinations that I mentioned earlier in the video. So taking what I'm wearing as an example, we pop over here and select like a greeny yellow citrus colour in order to mimic the colour I'm starting with. You would then scroll down to the second part and pick your colour combination. Here is complementary, so it's combining it with this fantastic purple. Those two feature opposite, as mentioned earlier in the video, and then you can select monochromatic, analogous, triadic, and tetradic in order to get those 4 different combos. You can obviously move around on this colour palette and also click this little part here in order to change the brightness and the hue tint shade of the colour. So that is an absolutely fantastic resource in order to help you pick when you're starting with one colour. This is a great way of going through your stash and finding exactly what you need, and also comparing to samples or swatches that you already have. So applying what we just learnt there from the colour wheel, in order to use this as a base colour and to create a colour blocked version, let's take tetradic as for fun. That would mean the other panels of this dress would be a light green, a shocking blue, and a shocking pink. So it's there with that information that you would then play with the fabric, play with the formation on a garment like this that has the seams to allow you to do so. Or if you're feeling brave, you could do so, as we saw in an earlier example, with the cubist part of changing and chopping the pattern as you want in order for those colours to be featured in there. Say that you're someone who likes to sew with pattern fabric rather than plains, you like a bold print, that's how you roll. That's brilliant and can seem a little overwhelming in terms of matching. I've heard lots of people say they make a whole wardrobe full of super duper brightly coloured pattern clothes, but then find it hard to bring those and style those together because each piece almost lives in a world of its own. So fear not, we can use the colour wheel to help there. And the cheat sheet, really, using this fantastic fabric as an example, this is a poly cotton that I have from Minerva that already features its own colour scheme because there are at least 4 different colours in there, 5. So we've got this really fun popping pink background with pastel shades on top. We've got yellow, orange, blue and green on there. By taking the pink and popping that into the colour wheel, then you can then find the complementary tone to suit that and then decide whether you're making a top, a jacket, and then use the other colour in order to make the other items that would then complement this fabric. Where the last example of fabric had lots of colours to play with, this particular fabric, which is Minerva exclusive Zentangle Jungle Viscose Challis fabric, is patterned and very bold, but also features its own monochromatic scheme. So this particular fabric has so many shades of green already in there that is in itself a monochromatic scheme. So then you could take your favorite color within this, as we did with the pink fabric, pop it into the color wheel and see if there are any color combinations that we do like. But it also helps you inform yourself on combinations that you don't like or things that wouldn't work for you. So for this particular shade of green that I've popped into the little app there, it's brought back like a kind of mulberry dark tone, like mulled wine colour. So for me in particular, that is not my sort of colour palette. So that's me steering clear of that immediately by going to tetradic and triadic. It brings in brown tones, it brings in purple tones, which I also don't really feel are more me. So that in itself would tell me that for this particular fabric, I'm going to keep that as a one-piece thing, maybe a garment that's an all-in-one, a dress, something that I don't work in that scheme because it's its own thing. But it's just good to know when you're working with or in the design process in order to know what it is you do or don't like. And my last little tip that I would give you for starting to think about sewing with colour theory would be that it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a whole garment. We don't have to jump in at the deep end. Colour blocking, big pattern choices might not be your thing. So have a think about the smaller details. As they say, the devil's in the detail. I touched on it earlier. This could be piping. This could be ruffles, as we saw on Izzy's dress. This could be ribbon. And 2 fantastic examples here. We have this jumper that's been made by Thready Set Sew, and this features really fun little ruffles around the seams of the jumper that pick out colours that are in that pattern fabric. So that's a really fun way of thinking about colour there. And also, you know, let's think about upcycling, let's think about thrifting. As you can see in this other picture here, which is a sample we made with RIT dye. So these jeans have just been dyed in order to use different colours, colour theories. So that's another fun way to think about your favourite colours and to bring them into existing garments and maybe reinvent something that you've always loved, but you wanted to give it like a different edge. So more to think about, food for thought. Let's take a peek at some looks from the fashion world. This first example, 3 looks that feature the complementary colour combination. So this is fantastic. As you can see, what really pops from that middle look is the combination of orange and a striking blue. So this has been accessorized to perfection. We have this roll neck that would suit lots of seasons, particularly autumn, winter, paired with a blazer. It's almost monochromatic because there's 3 shades of blue going through there and then the complementary tones of the orange that have brought through in the shirt and the bag. The third one is actually almost triadic because that brings together the red and green, which we were told should never be seen, but it looks fantastic here. So we've got that really long green, popping green coat, the jeans and the top together that create a triadic look, which is it's just wonderful. If this is dopamine dressing to you, if this is fun, then complementary is definitely the combination you should go for. And then the first image is almost a little bit pared back, a more subtle pastel version of how you can do the complementary colours. much more casual. Again, could be dressed up or dressed down, but all really good staple pieces to have in your wardrobe, or to think about maybe when you're collecting accessories, or if you enjoy bag making and other areas of sewing. This is how you can achieve the complementary look. So here are three fantastic analogous combinations from the fashion world, and I love how different these are to the first examples of complementary. So to remind you, analogous are the three colours that feature next to each other on the wheel. So this is a lot more subtle, a lot more pared back. It's a nod, but it's still a clear colour scheme. This first example is too cool for me, way cool. It features an oversized sort of utility vest, the cargo pant with the roll up. The details in this outfit are so fun. The oversized shirt, and you could just think about wearing all these things separately, but when styled together, bring this fantastic color scheme. Super edgy, really fun. I think we have a lot of Vicky Sews patterns that would help you create a look like this if you feel inspired. The second one is gorgeous. I'm seeing a cashmere sort of two-piece, very lemon, very like light, soft candy floss sort of colors, but then we've got the pop of the yellow in there and the pop of the shoe. So that's sort of a nod to the yellow, orange, pink, or red sort of part of the warm part of the color wheel. And then the third is an excellently tailored two-piece suit where this person looks like they're just going shopping, but imagine wearing this to a wedding or to a special event. The details are so beautiful, and I would never think to put a turtleneck with that as well, but it's just a great idea, like a bounce off of creating staple pieces for your wardrobe that are going to have that effect or that versatility. So I really love these examples of analogous color combinations too. And last but not least, we have three examples of monochromatic fashion. So these again are absolutely wonderful. They don't have to be popping colours in order to have presence and drama. Each of these three looks features monochromatic colour scheme, which is either the same colour or shades of the same colour. So this first one, different shades of blue. They're just so cool, and within that as well you could sew with different textures, but similar shades of fabrics. But the boot could be a denim, the pants could be a canvas. There's so many possibilities to it if you can get those color combinations right. The second one is an absolutely amazing accessorized brown look with an oversized coat. I mean, yeah, this woman means business. And always in contrast, but the same idea. The pink look takes shades of white, very light pastel pinks to create that full look, and then the popping pink bag. So it's just an idea, really, all very tailored again, of how you can bring those colors together. Monochromatic doesn't need to be black and white. It can be fun. And if your favorite color is pink, why not dress head to toe in pink in different shades, and have a section of your wardrobe that just goes together perfectly, because monochromatic is nice and easy. We're now going to chat about different ways to visualize your ideas and push the concepts to reality. So I have lots of ideas and tools which should help you depending on what kind of creative you are or where you're at with that whole design journey. So we're talking about how to develop your concept. You've got a little bit of an idea. My first suggestion is, if you're an arty person, to get it all out visually. So we are going back to school a little bit here, but if you've ever been a person who loves to journal, who loves to do sketchbooks, that is an absolutely fantastic way of making your ideas come to light on the page. So this would be getting hold of a colour wheel like I suggested, which you can pick up really easily. You can also grab paint swatches from DIY stores, Pantone colour books, all kinds of things like that. If you get an idea of which garments you'd like to make and it's how you would like to apply colour to them, you could download, there are lots of templates and vector images for body shapes out there, so you could have a go at drawing the garments and how you see them and colouring them on paper to see if that works for you. It's a really quick and easy way of just sketching out your ideas and seeing whether they work for you. Another fun idea would be to create a mood board. So if you've already got images of the clothing that you have in your wardrobe, and there's very much a theme coming together and there's consistency there, you could have a small mood board with the swatches attached, with images of your finished makes that you've got on Minerva, pop them all together, and then you've got a really good representation of the style. Perhaps you can pick out color schemes that you've already created there. You can see if they're complementary, monochromatic. If you can analyze by looking at your own clothes and your style how it is that you want to proceed with your sewing journey. Another great idea to get started, which is something I should absolutely do, is to go through your fabric stash to see if that sparks any ideas. We're all guilty of hoarding lovely fabrics and not really knowing what to do with them. If you organize your fabric stash and also go through your wardrobe, you'd be able to evaluate perhaps what's missing from your wardrobe and what items you would like to add in order to make a color scheme work. Much like the mood board idea and having a capsule in mind, picking out fabrics from your own stash to work with are a great way of kickstarting a next project. Once you've found the fabric in your stash that you might want to work with and you're not entirely sure that the shades work, Minerva offer a fantastic sample service so that you could order 10 centimeters of any fabrics that you have in mind to work with the color scheme that you're working on. And that's another way to visualize, like having swatches as to whether that project is going to work, whether those shades work together. That's a really, really good resource that Minerva offers in order to give you that visual tool to give you the go-ahead to go with the project. Another great part of the Minerva site is the ability to scroll and filter along the left side of the site. This works particularly well for the monochromatic color combinations. Once you've selected the fabric type, maybe the weight or the stretch, non-stretch, all of those functions, if you then click color, it will then show you in a particular fabric range how many shades there are listed under that one color. So there might be 5 different shades of blue, and that already gives you the exact bounce off point that you would need in order to create a monochromatic blue look. And as always on Minerva, there is the save function. So when you come across a fabric or a project that you're really inspired by, you can just pop a little save on there and come back to it later as well. Perhaps if you're not into the old school idea of visualizing an idea physically, sketchbooks, swatches aren't your thing, there are lots and lots of resources online and websites that can help you to compile your ideas and bring them together. I think Pinterest is one of the most popular sites known for saving and different ideas. So it doesn't have to be limited to sewing. You could look for color combinations on there. There's also a site called Design Seeds, which started many, many years ago, which has kind of developed it into apps now that you can pick a picture itself and swatch the colors from the picture. So Design Seeds, if you were to type in lilac, it would then show you lots of different color combinations for that, which would be part of the color combos you'd find on the wheel as well. But it just shortens the process, and it's also probably more about the emotions that are evoked or the image that they've used in order to create that scheme. So it might be a gorgeous bunch of flowers, and that's how they've gotten all those color combinations. So it's a bit of a cheat sheet, but it's another great way of combining colors without doing all the hard work yourself. As well as those, there is the Canva color wheel that I've shown you previously. That is an absolutely brilliant resource in terms of pulling those colors together. So that concludes our video on sewing with colour theory. We've been through the invention of the colour wheel, different colour combinations that are used in the design world. I've talked about how you can apply them to sewing as well as styling or accessorizing your looks. You can upcycle, you can experiment in lots of different ways, as well as sewing accessories, patchwork, quilting. I hope you feel armed with the tools you need to get started on your colour journey. Please share all of your makes with us on Minerva. I would absolutely love to see some dopamine dressing, some colour blocking, some experimentation. Anything that just really inspires you will inspire someone else. Minerva is a huge worldwide community of sewists. When we all big each other up, we all follow, we all comment. You can find us on Minerva, or you can find us on YouTube as well for daily content. We'd love to know what colour combos were your favourite. We'd love to know what inspired you in this video. And we always want feedback on what kind of videos you'd like to see on Minerva next. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye.